an intention behind it. Why are you doing whatever you are doing? Because, I mean, you are not a random person, you're a child of God. So for dating, you have an intention at the back of your mind. And in dating, mostly, the intention should really be, like he said, to know each other, to understand each other. I want to know more about him. I want to know what are his interests, what is his career, what are his inspirations, and what are my inspirations, what are his values, what are my values, what things do we have in common, what differences do we have, what is his religion, what is my religion. It's basically surface knowledge of, knowing each other, information about, themselves. And I understand that when you were dating, before you met me,
Yes.
before you met me, you were dating. I was also dating. So I want to ask you from your experience, how do you then differentiate the dating of now? I've known this person. I think this is not the right person. Now I make the decision to date another person to also know them better. How do you then make that, differentiation and say, okay, it's time for me. I've known this person this much. It's time for me to end this and maybe date another person.
Okay, well, like she said, yeah, I dated a couple of girls before I met her. But for me, it was always, I had an intention. 1, 2, I had an end goal. 3, I attached purpose. And 4, this person was coming to, how can I call it? Like, it was, for me, it was a mutual benefit. That away from, having an intention, having a purpose and an end goal, this person, I am also going to be mutually benefiting from them. So now, when I get to my checklist and I'm like, okay, where does she rate according to this? Where does she rate according to this? I found a lot of mix-up, like, where I can say it's a gut feeling. I'm like, no, this person, no. According to what they believe, according to their values, it's not something I'm going to be in for long and sustain. Something that I'm going to be in short time and quit. Depending on the other person, and I was not a character who would, change one's perspective or one's kind of virtue. No, I let my girls be and I be. But in that moment, I would discover, okay, now this person, okay, when I say let's pray, it's kind of a resistance. Okay, maybe when I ask, what are your plans 10 years from now? It's not clear. When I ask, okay, maybe about kids, what do you think about parenting? There are specific questions I would ask, and now I would ask them intentionally. And from their responses, I would now begin rating, okay, well, this can be a good woman, fun, but cannot be a mother. Well, this can be, give you that butterflies all the time you meet, but then it's not faithful. Certain things began, falling in place piece by piece. And for me, I would get to that point, I'm like, okay, this is fun to be in, but then it's not sustainable long term. It's not. And then I would, lay out my framework, A, B, C, D, E, and she can tell you I was a straightforward person. I didn't, move in corners and what. I was a straightforward person, A, B, C, D, E, and this is what I plan, this is what I want long term, this is what I want for you. And you have my ultimate support on that. And maybe if we can strike a middle ground. So it eliminated a lot of, I can say a lot of mediocrity and, trying to fix someone when you are not actually supposed to fix anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I can say that's what made a discrepancy between my first couple of dates and her.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll have questions on dating before we go to courtship, but I want to share briefly my experience. Before I met my husband, I had been in a relationship, which was my first relationship. I think that taken about 4 years. 4 years. And during that time, first, what I had, the very first thing I had in my mind was I had heard from different people say that men men always men always have an interest in having sex with the woman. Like all men, even growing up as a child, they would tell us, you have to be careful around men. You don't have like men are always looking out to sleep with the girl. So at the back of my mind, I knew, and I had set my mind to one way I will know that this is surely my husband is someone who will be having that kind of boundary, who will see me beyond, wanting to sleep with me. So in my mind, I'm like, when I finally meet the person, they will be willing to wait on sex because I don't want someone to be with me simply because to use me or sleep with me. But then also, I'm a very ambitious person, and I knew it from childhood. I'm a very career-wise. I'm a very ambitious person. I want to grow career-wise. I want, I used to dream myself a PhD holder. So I wanted someone that will blend into that. And considering my background, where I come from, I'm from a very traditional family. My dad was really a very traditional man. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. And he was big on gender roles. A woman's role is to cook, raise children, and all that. So now look at my family. In me, I wanted someone who is not like my dad, like for a husband. I wanted my dad as my father, but not as a husband. I wanted someone that was a bit flexible, that will allow me pursue my dreams, allow me to be ambitious. And one of the things that kept me in that relationship that I knew I wasn't supposed to be in for a very long time was that trying to debate with myself, because the more you're with someone, the more you get to know even the things they shouldn't have told you. So one of the key things that, I was clear that, I need to end this and move on, had something still to do with the gender roles and my ambitions. He was clear from day one. He wants a wife. He wants to marry someone who's going to be able to sit home, be a wife. Like he really believed so much in, traditional roles, and that was him. That was him. I will start for your business, and you run home and I support you, I'll provide, and all those things. And when I would look into my heart of hearts, I wouldn't see myself there. I would see myself in career, pursuing my dreams. I would see myself out there. And I also realized the more you're in a relationship with someone, the more you develop attachment, the more it's hard even break out. And I came to learn that it's for a Christian, you don't have to date for that long. You don't have to, prolong the dating, because you're developing attachment, and the attachment will bar your discernment, and you find it hard to break off even when you're supposed to leave. Yeah, so what helped me is that after my university, I went for a full-time ministry for 1 year, and then so that 1 year break helped me to to discern, and I'm like, no, this is time for me to get out of this. And also another thing that helped me is that what kept me there is that he was willing to wait on having sex. Like he learned that, and he was willing to wait. But then the idea of, okay, what is my life going to look like? Am I willing to give up on my dreams for this? Because I knew clearly he wasn't going to change his stand. But then having that 1 year break, praying and sending, it was very hard, by the way, to break to break off. And I also had this dream of I want to date one man and then marry them, like appear like a heroine. I dated once and then married them. Yeah. But then 1 year helped me to make a decision. Now I meet him. The time I met my husband, now I had some clarity. I knew I wanted someone who is more driven to career, someone who is not more of I need you for to take care of me, to be my wife at home, cook for me and all that, who will consider my side of the story. And of course I also still had it, I need someone who is going to be able to wait until we are married for us to engage sexually. So I met my husband before we officially proposed. During the dating time, those first times we were meeting, we went on the first date. Like he said, he was really, really a direct person. Even when he asked me to be his girlfriend, it was clear as it's either a yes or a no, and then I will move on. And he was clear as that. No waiting for you to think about it. Man, no. But the first time we were talking about, he was interested in knowing what I wanted to do 5 years later, what I want, like my dreams, what plans do I have, what values, and then we're from different backgrounds. I was extremely charismatic. He was from a seminary, didn't things to do with charismatic, like he didn't. I think he quite didn't understand why you move around speaking in tongues, those things, and why. And in my mind, I had imagined the man God will send me will be speaking in tongues, will be commanding demons, and they move. Like that's the kind of picture I had at that point of, my husband is going to be that one that you pray and the demons move. He's going to be speaking in tongues and all that. Yeah. So when we met, yeah, we talked about that. Most of my my things were, I plan, I go for my master's, later I'll go for my PhD. I also want to do ministry. He also told me about himself. No, I don't know about much about charismatic. I don't know. Yeah, but my dreams are A, B, C, and D. And I started praying about it, but things that were a bit clear for me is that he strongly believed in family. He believed in family. He actually believes in family. He believes in family. He believes one of his values that he told me from the word go was family. He wanted to have a family. So if you're not okay with having children, you're not okay with having a family, then we have no business together. Like he was always direct on his things. So we dated for we went on dates like 3 times, and then he asked me to be his girlfriend, and he gave me 1 day to give him, like, it's just 1 day. I need an answer so that I decide whether to move on or. So I gave the next day I gave him an answer. I told him it was okay. For me to be your girlfriend. The first time we met, we also talked about the sexual boundary, and he was willing to wait. The other thing we talked about how the marriage would look like. Am I allowed to pursue my ambitions and all that? It's like he was looking for someone career oriented because he's also career oriented. For me, remember in my previous relationship, it was more my greatest issue was on the fact that I was not seeing myself pursue my dreams and all that. And so now that was like the main thing I was looking out for. I wanted a Catholic, wanted someone I can pray with. Whereas he was not in charismatic, and he was more in the Ugala people, the humble. Now I'm like, okay, at least I can compromise on that because he's a Catholic. Like he believes in mass, he can go to church. The other things we shall see how to meet in between. So for me it was a yes, and I said a yes, and it was clear we are dating for marriage. So it didn't take long. We dated for how long before the propose?
Before the proposal, it was about
months.
6 months.
Yeah, it was 6 months. We dated for only 6 months, and he proposed after the after he had proposed, we had 6 months of courtship involving family here and there, telling my friends about it, and then we got married. After the proposal, the other things we had to do was involve family, look at, okay, witnesses, look at the wedding dates, look at introduction dates. Yeah, in there we had some issues with family, people like Fisher who are close to us know our story. At one point, we had made our decision, but the family was not agreeing with the decision to get married. Yeah, so what we did at that time, because it's very, very, very important to have your family involved in whatever you are doing. It's important to have friends involved. Sorry, it's important to have these people all in. But for us, we had all other people apart from our family. Our family was not agreeing to our decision, which was really, 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 really something big for us. We tried to bring them on board. We prayed here and there, but yeah, for some reason it was harder. It was just getting harder. And all we would do is, we're all Catholics. We all believed in prayer. We just meet, pray, and as long as God gave us a go ahead, we had to move on. So we actually got married at a time before we were not yet at the same page with family. But after our marriage, the family got on board. Now, yeah, I have full swing. Yeah. Do you have any question at this point? Any question about dating? Any questions? Yes, please.
I have one question.
Yeah.
So after seeing that the other relationship was not going to go on, did you just keep silent? Did you tell the other person? Did you again meet the other person and you talked about it and you're like, maybe this can't go any further, I'm going or you just moved on?
So what happened with that other relationship? Like I've told you, I told him, but it was not an official way of, no, let's meet, talk about this, so it can't work. It was harder. It was hard because I've told you 4 years. Now, by 4 years, the entire family knew me. His sisters were my friends. Like, it had gone for, like, 4 years is almost like a marriage, only that. Like 4 years, it's almost like a marriage. Like, you have taken it far, like far, 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 far. I don't even believe it's Christian. But now, for me, by that time, it was that far that his parents knew me, his mother knew me, his entire family knew me. It was not going to be easy. So even when I knew meeting him and we talked through it, it was not going to work. There's literally nothing that was going to work that, they wouldn't have understood the fact that the reason that you have is the issue you're presenting is the fact that he's not going to support your career. Because when I said that, it's like, okay, I've changed my mind. I no longer want a stay-home mother. I want someone who's going to pursue career. You get? So I just texted him, and he didn't agree to the breakup. In fact, he started preparing for the proposal. But then I had to go radical of, no communication now. It was like a real heartbreak, if I can put it like that. It wasn't something that was handled well. It wasn't something that was handled a Christian way. It was handled, if I can say, the worst way possible. Yeah, for me it was it. But if you're in a relationship and you have decided, no, this is not going to work, I believe the right thing is, if there is a possibility of sitting with the person, you be open to them, you give them your reasons, and make it very clear, to be fair, just to be fair, as we are Christians, to be fair to each other. Tell him your reasons and officially break up in the most dignified way. And, put across and know he's starting his life and you're starting his life. That's what I believe it should be. Yeah.
Maybe to just add something about what she has said. From way back, even before I dated her, personally, one thing I strongly believed in was time. Like my greatest investment, my greatest resource was time. So when I would say, okay, maybe you have a day or you have okay, go think about it, but there is just a time frame attached to it. For me, it saves me because dating is investment.
Yeah.
Guys, dating is investment. You don't want to invest in and then, like any other entrepreneur, when you lose return on investment, you become sad. I mean, like it's a loss for you. So giving her time frame was to save both of us.
Yeah.
It's just not you investing as a man or as a woman. Both of you are investing. And when you are in that kind of space, you don't want to now invest in so much and then you're like, guys, this is not working.
Yeah.
Cut it. Cut it. And then maybe you don't know how the
Yeah.
and then the other party you were like, okay, no, so how are they going to handle this?
Yeah.
So for me, it's from that investment background that I don't want us to be in a space where we have all both invested, and then now we are, calling it quits. So it would be better with clarity, and then I invest right, rather with no clarity, and then try and error,
Yeah.
invest and see if it actually works. Go on a couple of dates and actually see if it works. As we are getting on these dates, I am attaching a time frame. This is actually working, so I can actually invest more. Or this is not working, I would cut my investments right away and try them else. So you save time for both of you. Sorry, for both of you. And then also, time is that resource really that has no value attached to it. Someone can tell you how worth 1 year is in terms of maybe currency or a tangible item. To say now, okay, this amount of money can buy time in a year, or this amount of property can buy time in a year. Time is that resource that has really no kind of definitive value attached to it. So guard it jealously and use it profitably. So
Yeah.
even when you are doing all these dating things, it's better. You don't want to be in a space where you have invested in so much and maybe like, I did all these things and then I am walking away from them.
Let me stay.
No, this is too much to lose. Let me stay.
Yeah.
Okay, look at how far I've come. Look at, these things that I've done. And now I walk away. So you don't want to be in that kind of space where what is holding you there is your investment, not your decision.
Yeah. That's what you want.
So you want to save yourself from such scenarios where you are thinking about staying, not because you want to, but because of what you have invested in.
Yeah.
I want to say something.
Yes, Bridget.
With dating, as a Christian, one thing that we have to remember, we have God.
Yeah.
And it is the greatest gift that God has given us. He has given himself to us. In that in every single choice you make in life, talk to him.
Yeah.
He has the best advice he can give you, because he has given us the Holy Spirit, and we know that we have the wisdom. I want us to read Romans chapter 8 from verse 27. The word says, "And he who searches our hearts knows the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for God's people in accordance with the will of God." The Spirit is always interceding for you, and God knows that, and the Spirit knows the perfect will of God, and God will not want you to go out with someone that is not good or is not okay for you. So before even you start dating anyone, consult from God. Ask him, "My daddy, my father, is this the right person that I should go out with?" Because remember, the journey you're beginning, you are either going to waste your time, and as he said, as you go in there, the more time you take, you are becoming attached to this person.
in that even if you get to realize from within there that this is not the right person, sometimes it's hard for you to leave because you find you have become so attached. This is a person I talk to every night at 10 p.m. We are always having a call. Now, if I leave them, who will I be talking to? You somehow it becomes hard for you to make a decision. But if you did it from the word go and you asked God, is it the right person I am going to start dating? Is this the person that you desire for me, that you want me to date? Before dating, there is that time you can have friendship before dating. Because the moment you say, yes, I'm going to be your boyfriend, I'm going to be your girlfriend, you're wasting someone's time if you're not sure.
Yeah.
So before you do that, can you stay friends? Okay, can we stay friends as I pray about it? It is very okay.
Yeah.
Stay friends as you're praying about it. And when you're sure that this is my person, can you start the journey knowing that, okay, I am getting to know you, but I want to get married? There are times before we were serious about marriage, that you're just dating for the sake. And you also know it, I'm just dating for the sake. But now that you are aware that actually I want to get married, just enter a relationship that you see leading to marriage and have your values written down. If someone comes and you feel like, when I take this, this is not the person. When I take this, don't go in it.
Yeah.
Don't compromise. Do not. Because the time you're wasting, you will never have it again. And you may want to compromise and even get married and divorce.
Yeah.
So you wasted your own time, yet you had the time to choose and let go. So do not allow the devil to deceive you into dating.
Yeah.
That's what I can say.
Thank you so much, Bridget. And I also believe that the greatest work to work on is not the other person that you're dating, but you yourself. You yourself. I think the greatest gift, even for singles, that you can give yourself is to allow yourself time with the Lord so that you heal. Sometimes during the dating time, we choose people that reflect our own wounds, like our own, like you're not healed, and you're not attracting someone that you genuinely like. But exactly, the wounds you're reflecting. Like I've told you, me, I wanted someone who was not going to impose on me the gender roles like my dad. But is that a genuine reason for me? I'm supposed to consider what I want as an individual, leave alone my background. Me as Lucky, what do I want? What do I think is good for me? Because the Spirit of God, I'm a believer. There's a Spirit of God in me. He knows me. He searches me. He knows me. So the greatest, even during dating, you must have time as an individual for your own healing. Allow the Spirit of God to reveal to you your own wounds, to reveal to you your own reservations. Because you will come into this marriage with this man and you're imposing your own wounds on him. Yeah, you're projecting things on your partner. You're putting them on pressure, not because they are bad or they are not from God, but because you're wounded. You're not healed as an individual. You are broken, so you're coming with whatever things you had in your past relationship or from your background or from your own failures and bringing them into this relationship. How about taking time and you allow the Lord to heal you, that you're coming in this relationship with so much trust. You will hear people say, me, I stopped trusting men, or I stopped trusting women. All men are the same, all women are the same. You have all these things that are blinding you or are shadowing the true you, and you're bringing them in your relationship. You will sabotage your own relationship. You sabotage your own marriage, even in the marriage. And the wisest time to actually work on you as an individual is during the dating time or when you're single. That even you heal to the point that you will attract a very healed person. If you are a woman, you attract a very healed man who is not afraid to be a man himself, who is proud to actually be a man, who is very, very, very proud. You'll find a man who is fully masculine, fully in his picture, but because of your wounds, because of your own failures, you want to sniff this man into something else. You're imposing certain things, and because they want to please you, because they don't want to lose you, he starts losing himself, his power into you. And at the end of the day, you're the one who is going to lose because you're not getting the best version from this person. The same for men. Because if you're not fully into your masculinity. You're not fully into who God created you to be. You've not done the work to actually heal and be the best version the Lord created you to be. You will meet this woman and you're projecting, you're projecting your own wounds onto her, that she cannot fully be feminine. She cannot fully be the princess that the Lord created her to be. And you will lose that beauty in her, because the essence of coming together as a man and a woman is because we are opposite. We have opposite energies. She's feminine, you're masculine, and when you meet, it's magical. But if you're all wounded in your own ways and have not taken the time to heal and to allow the Spirit of God to heal whatever baggage that you got from whatever experience, you will end up sabotaging your own relationship. Even when it's God given, you start feeling like, no, maybe we made a mistake. Maybe I didn't discern where, I didn't pray. I always didn't want tall men. I didn't want short men. I didn't want dark men. Then I compromised with this one. Yet it's your own wounds, your own healing that you have not done, the work you have not done within you that is trying to come in the way. So one of the tasks that we must really take on during the dating and the courtship, in the entire process, as an individual, have time and allow the Lord to heal you. Pray for yourself. Pray for your mind. The Bible says in Romans 12:2, do not conform to the standards of the world, but let the Lord renew your mind. Renew your mind. Whatever social media has put into your mind, whatever people, your circles have put in your mind, allow the Lord to align your mind into what is truth. What is truth, and it is from the Lord. Allow the Lord to work on you as an individual. Even before you try to fix this man, allow the Lord to fix you. Focus on being fixed, on being, made whole, and being healed from those the heartbreaks you have had. Allow yourself, go before the sacrament, before adoration, and ask God to heal you. Ask the Lord to, to make you the best version of who you are, so that even when you're searching, when you're looking for a man, you will attract a man that wants a healed person. And most likely you will attract a healed man if you're healed yourself. If you're messy, you will attract a messy person. You attract what you are. Exactly. You attract what you are. And before you complain about that person you have, ask yourself, what are they reflecting about me? He's arrogant. The probability is that actually you're projecting your own arrogancy on that person. They are just tickling the arrogance in you. So you think they are the problem, but you are actually the problem. But I mean, the good thing is that by his stripes we are healed. All we need to do is the work, is just be present. Be present before the Holy Spirit. Be present in adoration. Ask the Lord to heal you. And the Lord will surely heal you. She has a question?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay, I'd like to ask the gentleman. He said that shortly after you guys had dated, you made that wedding. So I'm asking, how possible and tricky was it to get that money to a wedding? Because, yeah, how much time did it take you? Because nowadays they're saying if you don't have money, you can't plan a wedding. Need practice, this big money and all that. But for it was quick. So how possible was it and how quick?
Well, it was about maybe after 6 months, but personally, it was not really about the wedding. It was more about having done all these things. So what next? Because I told her, yes, we shall do this wedding. We shall need money for this wedding, but there is much more life to live after the wedding. And for me, I was really more concerned about the afterlife of the wedding than the wedding itself. So my investment and work was more in the after having done all these things. Then what next? Because I used to tell her a wedding is one day event. A marriage is a lifetime. And when all these people go, when all the noises and lights shut, so now what next?
I want to talk something about
Yeah.
So the preparation, the biggest worry, actually, I think now this is in courtship. We already approaching courtship. The biggest worry when you're courting, for many people, it's about the wedding, but it shouldn't be. And more so when you have God. Money is so important, but it's not a problem. Because as long as for us we have decided, even if we are just 10 people on the wedding, we shall get married.
The decision is key.
As long as we make that decision, two of us. If we do not have money, let's plan in our budget.
And
it's so beautiful. Me, one thing I believe in as a girl, because we have that dowry bit of it, but as a girl, we have a very big part to play in convincing our parents about dowry. Because one thing I believe, of course, it's also good when our parents are appreciated, but if we know we do not have the money, if I am dating someone that has the money, I want them to give my parents the money. That's obvious. But if I am dating this person and I know he's struggling, can I meet with my parents and talk to them that this is the person I truly want? Probably give him this time. When he makes the money, he will bring this dowry, maybe later.
Yeah.
As a girl, you have a very big part to play in allowing your marriage to go on or to fail. Because some parents are even willing to organize these functions without you paying money. And if you have such parents, it's okay, talk to them. If they do not have the money, do away with the introduction if it's not important. Have a small introduction over just family members. It is okay. The wedding. No one is going but it shouldn't be. And more so when you have God. This is between you and your man. It's between us, because after you eat people eating our food, what next are you going to add to our marriage? You will eat our food, you will dance, and you will go away. We shall stay together. If we have spent all our life savings, we are going to starve alone. People will not be there. So it is very important, very, very important. Of course, these days, it's so good that there are friends that help us out in all this preparation. If you have them, utilize them, that's good. Make those meetings, collect the little money, but plan according to your budget. If the money is not there, don't go into debts. I've seen very many people that have big debts after marriages, that they take around 5 years clearing debts of a marriage that was there 5 years back. And you are struggling in your marriage because you fed 1,000 people. So it's not necessary. Have 10 people, you will call them for anniversary. Let's say 5 years, we shall celebrate and call them and have a bigger function. But for now, if you know you are struggling, have something small.
Yeah.
There is a wedding I saw. Actually, it was for 20 people. This was just when, you know how you go to church and get married and you have a kadina just like the way you're done with campus. They just have a kadina in a certain room and it's done. Nothing big, like just have lunch and it's completely done. So it's between the two people to decide. Otherwise, you will pay loans for life.
Yeah, and also it's important to be clear with your intention. If like, be true to yourself. If really, really your intention is you want to have this big wedding, you want, like, what is clear is for you want to, no one has done a wedding in your family, so you want to set the standard, you want to show your auntie, how take your time. Take your time, don't pressure that man. Tell yourself, me, what I want is the mikoro. Leave alone the marriage. I don't care. I want mikoro. And focus on that. Wait for a man who can give you that mikoro. Like, be true to yourself until that man shows up who has that money to give you the mikoro, and then you will start from there. If your intention is that I feel I'm convinced at this age, at this stage of my life, this season of my life, I need a family. Let your intention be clear. It's your family. The process is not, it is important, but not as important as the end goal. Your end goal is to get married. During our preparations, Fisher can witness was our chairman. We didn't have money. We honestly didn't have money. Did we care? To a smaller extent. Actually, we cared about our honeymoon more than the wedding itself. We cared about the honeymoon. We wanted to have, if we can have 50 people on the wedding and have a month in honeymoon, for us it was good for us. Yes, he was. I think we had about 100 people.
Yeah, it was
We
100.
struggled so much financially that the devil wanted to even frustrate us even more. That even Like our biggest funders was our family, and they dropped out completely, like we have withdrawn. This wedding is not happening. We are not putting in the money. What we did, we just told Fisher, we told a few friends, those who are willing to give us some money. We had about 100 people on our wedding.
Yeah, it was 100.
It was, I think, 100 people. We had our wedding, went for honeymoon. We had actually extra. We came back with the money we used to shift from where he was staying, his double small room. Yeah, he had his single double room. Everything. I'll be like, we are getting money to go there. What is going to happen after today? Like, anyway, the goal is we want to be together and want to be together the right way. Let's do the marriage. So the money we used to actually shift to a bigger house was the balance we had from the wedding. First, we came from the wedding with the balance, like 3 million. So we used it to, after honeymoon. Initially, we thought we would be in honeymoon for like 3 days, but we had enough to go for a week, and then had an extra to actually shift a better house. Did we want a big wedding? Definitely. If time comes and at 10-year anniversary we are able to give the big wedding, we shall call whoever we did call, and we have that big wedding. Did he have money to pay my bride price? He did. We recently paid we are yet to finish the bride price. Yeah, we are yet to finish. Did I want my parents to be honored in that way? And my mother knows I gave birth to meanwhile I'm the only girl, so if she didn't get bride price from me, she didn't have a chance to get it anywhere because I'm the only girl. Did I want her to get the bride price? Definitely I did. Did he have the money? He did. Did we want the marriage? Yes. So we are yet to finish our bride price. Yeah, we shall. Yeah, I think we shall finish it. Yeah, we shall finish it.
Yeah. And maybe to just add something extra, I used to tell her I don't really like running life on credit, and I'm that person who doesn't run life on credit. I used to tell her I believe in earning first before I have. So many times it's possible, especially like there are positions we reach in and we don't need to reach out to financial institutions. No. Financial institutions reach out to us and they put proposals on table. And I can witness and tell you, well, I have turned down a couple of them because I don't run my life on credit. I earn, then I own. And it's possible to own before you earn. So you cash out what you don't have. But I used to tell her there is more life after the wedding, and which I don't want it to start on credit. And that's what I care about much more than this function where people will dance and, make merry. And then when everything is done, you begin saying, okay, what do we eat? And then conflicts begin there.
Yeah.
Everything starts because you're lacking. Your life is already on credit, and beginning to build and invest and own becomes difficult when you have all this credit backlog that is, draining you. So, yeah, I can say do something within your means, do something within your budget. Don't spend what you don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't really.
And if you have a rich man and he can pay your bride price right away, he can give you a munyonyo kind of wedding. Please enjoy what God has blessed you with. But if you're not yet there, it's okay, you'll be there. It's okay, you'll be there. Trust God that you will be there. If you're already there, my sister, my brother, congratulations. Have the wedding of your lifetime. Clear all those things. If the Lord has already given you that money. But above all, pray for yourself, pray for your partner, and let the Lord heal you and make you whole. So that when I think for me, I started the healing within the marriage. I feel when I look back, I'm like, I did most of the work later, because as we grow, we get to know more things. You get more knowledge. Some of the things we learn along the way, and it's always not too late to start. If you realize, okay, I came into this marriage with a whole lot of things I didn't heal from, you can start healing within the marriage from there. It doesn't mean that now you first end the marriage and then go and heal and then come back in the marriage. The Lord can pick you from wherever you are, the stage you are at, and will still do the work within you until you become everything He wants you to become. If there is no any question, I beg Fisher. If there's no any other question, I think we can end it here. Unless there's any other question.
The Lord is good.
All the time.
And all the time.
The Lord is good and that's His nature.
We have been there laughing. You guys don't laugh like me. Me when I had that, they are still depositing on the bride price. Up to now, I'm still laughing, but I know we are. Yeah. For me, my question is one: how has the marriage been? Like these 5 years, probably can you take us through the hardest phase, how you recovered from it? What should people expect, most especially as they immediately get in, and how you've coped up compared to your friends around, the ones that you know that are married? Thank you.
You want to go first?
No, you can go first.
Okay, well,
They are always there.
the hardest phase, I can say, the hardest phase are small things you neglect when you are in this courtship dating things. There are those tiny things that it's not a big deal, but they are actually a big deal. I think when you are a bachelor, when you are in your single times, it's easy to manage your life. It's easy to manage your meals. It's easy to manage your time. It's easy, when you come home and when you leave. You don't have to have so much accountability and all these things. But then, okay, you now know I have an audit that I need to prepare for. You have all these requirements. You are designing checklists, things you can't do in your normal time frame of work. And then maybe you have to extend 2-3 more hours into your working time. Then you have to communicate. Sometimes it's too much and it skips your mind, you can't communicate. So you come home frustrated about work, you didn't communicate, and then they begin asking A, B, C, D, E. You're like, okay. You try to explain, they don't get it. You're like, okay, we shall come back to that later. So you sleep with unresolved matter. And then tomorrow you start from the same space that you left. And I think for us, the hardest part has been in that facet of, I think from my end mostly, because I don't communicate as often as I should. Yes. And it has caused quite, I can say, not really bad scenarios, but, eliminating any kind of bad energies around. And I can confidently say we have not really had bad stuff to deal with or mountains to climb and what. No. We have not been in those spaces. We have not.
Yeah. Me, from my side, I want to think things that I've struggled with have mainly been in finances. So as as a woman, I'm thinking in my fantasies. There's fantasy and then there's reality. I'm thinking now that growing up, my father is providing my needs, is giving me my needs. I finish school, yes, you're working and what, but then you transition into now a man's life. Another man's life is not your dad, but for some reason has to take care of you. Like as a woman, there's no phase of, really struggle. There should not be phase of really struggling. They should be taking care of me all through. You get, like the only time I should be there hustling is when I'm at campus and, the money that I've given me for hostel, It's not enough for me to, to have my other fancy things. But now that I have a man in my life, all these other things should really be taken. I should be the princess. And then now reality hits in. That's, first of all, you are a beginning couple. Your age also matters, because someone who has lived for 30 years is not like someone who has lived for 60 years, who has worked, all for decades of life. Reality comes in that, yes, you want to have this kind of standard, but the reality is so different. So I found myself in, I had to work hard alongside my husband. I had to be forcefully willing to bring my money so that we can work together. And forcefully, because somewhere in a woman's heart, forcefully but willing, somewhere in a woman's heart, you really don't want to give in your money. you honestly don't want to give in the money. So you're really asking God for the willingness, for the grace to be, compliment your man and what. So I had to pray for the grace to come down and accept and look at my marriage, not any other person's marriage. Look at my marriage. How do we, we are just starting. How do we then get to a point where we have land? How do we get to a point where we can drive our own car? When do we get a point when we can have our own house? And wisdom told me, at this point, your man is not at that point where he can do all these things by himself without your support. You must support as much as you can. So I had to get to the level of, we have to plan together. We have to look at how much income do we have. When you work and your salary has come, and he works and his salary has come, how much do we have as a family income? What can we save? What can we spend? What, to let my money as a woman actually be our money. Something deep inside I didn't want. I didn't want, but there is always a reward to doing the right thing. There's always a reward in sacrifice, because I want to think 5 years later would be still, working hard to look for land, but at least at 5 years, we have driven our own car, we have had our own land, we have achieved things that we wouldn't have achieved if he was working alone. And I look back, I'm like, okay, I pride in that. Where he was sleeping when he was single is not where we sleep now. At least we can afford a decent life. And I'm hoping in the next phase of our life, we will get to a point where he can do all these things single-handedly by himself. Yeah. I know that. Like, I see where we are heading, that my fantasy will come. We still, maybe the next time we talk here, I'll be telling you guys, I no longer have to sacrifice. No longer have to sacrifice my company and all that. Yeah, but that has been it. And observing from the marriages around us, and maybe others that we read on media, I think the marriage usually fails at the point of finances. And I want to really think women play a big role in making the marriage fail in that instance. You have the TikTok kind of vision of a marriage, and then you have the reality that you have. So there's a conflict on living your reality and your fantasy. So people choose to keep in the fantasy than in the reality, and that crashes the marriage. But at the end of the day, you look at it and you're like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You'd rather be grateful with what God has given you and trust Him. He came so that we may have life and have it to a fullness. Like, He's a God of abundance. He's going to give you all those fantasies. Like, for sure, God is going to give you all those fantasies. He's going to make your man a millionaire. I really, really, really believe my man is going to be a millionaire. And when he's a millionaire, will I need to bring my money? No. I will not have to. Yeah, I will not have to. But for now, the reality is we will have to work together to see ourselves grow, so that we are in our own home. Our children are in good schools. As long as he needs my support, I'll be able to support What other challenges have we had? Maybe the distance. Like I've told you, me, I've always been an ambitious woman. So there are times when I will not be home for months. Like this year, I've not been home. The period I was not around for 3 months, 3 good months. But we have 2 sons. Yeah, we have 2 sons who are actually young. One is 4, another one is about to make 2 years. Yeah, and I was not in the country for 3 months. So he had to step in. Now imagine I said, me, I'm not going to help you with your load. I'm not bringing my money, like do your provision role. And now it's my time. I have to go to work. And my work requires me to be out of the country, but I have to be a mother, and it falls in my docket as the mother. I have to be with my children. And he says, no, deal with your lot as a woman. You get how hard it was going to be. But yeah, I thank God that my husband always steps in to help. So for all those months, he was a father, he was a mother, he was still working with Coca-Cola, he was still managing. So being able to, come in for each other, complement each other, so that you keep moving and keep the family together is very, very, very important.
Yeah, and mainly to just add to what she has said, it may not just be in marriage alone, but generally in life. I'll just talk about these 4 elements. One is expectation, reality, satisfaction, and frustration. Normally, a lot of frustrations that we have, not just in marriage, like generally in your life, you will find a lot of times your expectation and reality are not the same. There's something you expect that, okay, this is going to work. Reality is different. It has not worked. So in the long run, you get frustrated. But then you realize with reality you cannot control. With expectation you can control. Like you can control what you expect maybe to earn or to achieve. Yeah, you can control that. But with the reality you cannot. You can't say, okay, now I expect to be in Zambia in 30 minutes. And you sit on Ginger Road for 2 hours. That's something you cannot control. So where do you end up? Do you end up frustrated? Most times, yes, because you're like, I should be there in 30 minutes. See, here I'm seated, not moving. Yeah, you can build up that frustration. But when you know that you cannot control the reality of things or how life evolves, then you get to a point where you get satisfied with actually what you have.
Yeah.
And then it can be able to give you that energy that can fuel you to get something better next time.
Yeah, I wish you have a question.
So there is a question online. She said they had sex boundary during dating period, but were there moments of romance, or were they just looking at each other's face during dating?
Okay. You want to answer?
Okay. What can I say about that? Okay. Personally, I had, like she told you, I was from a seminary setting and I had a personal standard. Personal standard. Not projected on anyone, projected on me, myself. She had her personal standard, which was projected on herself, not on me. And in regard to that facet, no. No. I had my personal standard, which was on me and working on me, and something I was not really willing to compromise on. Yeah. And then that gives you that grounding. Like this is something that you have, like it's a personal standard. No one is telling you to live that kind of way. So it's going to be quite hard for you now to start compromising your own self because of the other party. Yeah. Like she said, when you begin to do that, then you actually regret it and you're like, no, I didn't want to do this, but I just compromised and okay, see where we are now. Yeah, but I can say for me, it was that personal standard that I had set projected on me, not on the world, not about her.
Yeah, and we also had we used to use this saying so often that if I don't have intentions of entering Makerere, why am I at the gate in the first place? If my intention is not to enter Makerere University, why do I need to reach Makerere University gate? Because I do not want to enter the university. One of the things I think we had feelings for each other, we had emotions for each other, that's for sure. We had really feelings for each other. So we had to be intentional. Our dates we met at church house, no church house there. For all our dates we met at church house in the I
There was
think
a certain cafe.
yeah, there was a certain cafe, so it was always in the public space. Yeah, it was. I don't think it was.
Okay,
Yeah, it
I
was
can say
affordable. Yeah, it was
I won't
affordable.
really say cheap or expensive, but I can say it was affordable.
Yeah, and for all the times I went to his place to visit him, he was staying with a sister. The sister who was my friend was staying there, so we were always three of us. But also all those things were intentional. And then the other thing that we put, because we already knew we had feelings for each other, like you'd be together and you really feel the force towards each other, and we couldn't wait for our wedding night, by the way. But we said we wouldn't prolong the dating phase. We wouldn't prolong the courtship so that our passions does not get out of our hand. And the other thing we did during dating was get mentors. I really thank Lucy Faith. She was always there to, to remind us of the boundaries, because we didn't want. She was actually always reminding me that the moment you get physical, the more you get romantically, into each other, your discernment blurs. Because I mean, God could reveal to you that this is not your person just a few days to the wedding. Yeah, will you obey, or will you say no? I've already told the entire world. Yeah, God forbid, for sure. God forbid, but it's a possibility. So we got people to keep reminding us of, you know, keep things that are going to blur your discernment and everything from it. We were struggling I think on an individual basis. Maybe when we would meet, we would fear to be vulnerable to each other. I feel this way, all that. But I can say to a great extent, it was intentional. We didn't do the romancing. We did the hugging, the hugs of 10 minutes. And what when we would meet at church house and we are leaving, we really don't want to let each other go, that kind of thought. But we didn't go the romance way.
And also reading books. I think.
Yeah, we also did a lot of reading. We read 22 books. Yeah, we read 22 books on dating and marriage. 22 spiritual books. Most of them were spiritual books. So we'd read and then share. And most of these books were always condemning sexual relationship during the, like, there's no book we read that didn't hit on something to do with sexual relationship. We read a book called Waiting and Dating, then with the marriage covenant. Like, there were really very, very many books. And then it also helped that we were in COVID. So we had all the time to read these books and then share. So we'd read and then share on text, share. Yeah.
I think the best thing that can help you not to get into sexual interest is having a small time of dating and courtship.
Yeah.
Very important. If you're not yet ready, if you feel you're not yet ready to get married, don't get into dating, because the moment you do, those feelings are going to come. Trust me. But then have a small time of dating and courtship, and then get married, enjoy whatever you want.
And also the conversations you engage in. I think I found most of his conversations were always on the future. Like, he was future. Like, he was always intriguing me to know what I was planning. At one point I thought, is he scared of something? Is he scared of, like, is he scared that I will get into this marriage and jump out? Like, I didn't get it, but he was always future. What do you want to do then? Okay, in 5 years. Okay, in 2 years. Okay, how are we going to handle finances? I think before the real marriage, we had talked about how to raise children, talked about how to manage finance, all these things. When you get into the marriage, of course, it's a whole different story. Now you get into the reality. Some of the things change. Things you agreed on become the opposite. You know, it's a whole other story when you finally get married. But during that time, we're always talking about, I don't know if we had fears, but I would always find the conversations we are having are not like so romantic. Like they were not really, yeah, they were a bit maybe boring, if I could say that. They were more future.
You wanted romantic.
Yeah, I found physically, okay, he would be romantic on phone, on text, like he would write me romantic letters, tells me I'm a princess, but when we would meet, he would not tell me those things. Would always, yeah, when we would meet, he would always, like he was more of a seminarian when we met physically, and then when we are on phone, when we are texting, like you'll find all the love in my texts, all the love in the letters he wrote to me. But then when we meet physically, he wouldn't like say anything apart from when he's bidding me goodbye and says I love you and all that. That's so he was not very romantic, but yeah, in the marriage he was more romantic. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, guys, let's thank Mr. and Mrs. Ahebe for the first session. So right now we are going to introduce our second session with Dr. Owo Julius Caesar. Please welcome him.
Okay, my name is Julius Owor. I'm sure you've enjoyed the session with Lucky and Raymond. Do you want to stretch? Yeah. Water break. you didn't bring water. Another tea break. Okay, so I've met some of you because I was here earlier. Maybe the ones, yeah, was stretching echo. Fisher.
Yes, please.
Icebreaker.
I need an icebreaker.
Yeah, but stretching echo.
Do they need an icebreaker?
Kubanga nze ngenda bubble.
Agenda bubble.
Eh,
You asked for this, right?
yeah, I think I'll use it.
I think you can just.
Kale, let's stand and take some deep breaths, then we start. So yeah, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, out. Kale, Tachima. So I remember Nick, Justin, Benna and Peter. Yeah, Benna and Peter. She called Benna, you're Peter. Your name? Immaculate. Nice to meet you. Sibyl. That's a difficult name. Aine. Okay. You're together, eh? Yeah, you're married or planning to get married?
Yeah, planning to get married.
Yeah, okay, that's great. So my name is Julius Caesar Owor. I'm a doctor. I did a Bachelor of Medicine and a Bachelor of Surgery. way back 2017. Yeah, that's where I completed. I also do anesthesia and intensive care since 2022. We do a lot in anesthesia. If you're planning to have children, you can relieve labor pain. Yeah? Would you be interested, or you are traditional? I have to feel my pain. If I don't feel the pain, I won't love my child. Yeah, plenty of stuff we do in anesthesia. But today, I was told by Fisher to facilitate a session called Premarital Health Checkup. Have you guys heard of premarital health checkups? Anyone has heard of them? Nick, what have you heard about them? Do you have a moving microphone, or you can just speak? Maybe when she speaks loud, you'll hear her through my microphone. I'm at Nick, premarital health check.
Premarital checkups. These are medical checkups that you are supposed to do with your partner before you get married. Yeah, they are crucial, and most people usually do HIV tests. That is the one most people do, but there are many other tests. For example, sickle cell. There is hepatitis B, and very many other tests that are recommended. So it is better that before, even maybe when you're still dating, it's better that you go to the health center and maybe you do these tests, then you can decide whether to continue or not. Because diseases like sickle cell, which are genetic and are got from both parents. Now, when you find that maybe both of you are carriers, and when you get married, there is a probability that you will produce a sickle cell child. That can help you to decide, should we continue or we stop it here and maybe choose otherwise. Yeah, so that's what I know about premarital health checkups.
Thank you. She has provided a very nice summary. Health check of both the man and the lady before you get married. And the sole purpose is to ensure health of the parties, i.e. the spouses, and also to ensure the health of the children that you're going to have. She has mentioned HIV, sickle cell disease, hepatitis B. Anything else anyone else has had before? Yeah? Bena, you.
Blood group.
Bena?
I was going to say blood group, she has
You're
said
going to say
it.
blood group. Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Blood group. Yeah. So, I think we shall stick to these four. Fertility. Even fertility. Why fertility? Fertility can stop you from getting married.
Yes. If your aim is to have children.
Yeah. So if you discover
After marriage and then you decide to divorce.
oh no, you shouldn't divorce. Just keep going. Yeah? For the betterment of the spouses. Okay, fertility. We shall discuss and we see
It's also there.
if we agree. Yeah. Okay. Kade. So maybe let's start with blood group. So maybe something I have to emphasize is that conditions, the ones that are problematic really, yeah, they may or may not present with symptoms. So you may not know that your partner has them, or even your child has them if you go ahead and conceive and have children before you've done all these. And then by the time you discover, it's too late. The purpose of testing early is that many of them can be managed or treated to improve the quality of life that you live with your partner and your family. So, blood group or blood type. Let me use type, blood type. Blood group A, B, AB, and O. Have all of you tested for your blood groups? You all know your blood groups. Then there is that thing they usually report as A positive. Yeah, you all know your blood groups, both the letter and this positive sign they add. Let me call that. Let me write it as. That's how they usually report it, either rhesus D or negative, rhesus D positive or negative. So, what determines your blood group is actually your red blood cells. So your blood is red because it is full of cells which are red. Yeah. So those red blood cells have small markers. They have small markers. I think a red blood cell usually looks like that. It's like a normal circle. They have markers on them, which they use to determine what your blood type is. So if it has a marker called A, your blood group is A. If it has a marker called B, your blood group is B. If it has both of them, your blood group is AB. If it has none, your blood group is O. Now there's also another system, this one here, the RH system. So if it has that marker called RH, then you are rhesus positive. If it doesn't have it, then you're rhesus negative. Why is it important for you and your spouse to know your blood groups and rhesus D? So when you have children, you have father. How are we doing father in primary? And mother. So your child will get their blood type from both of you. Okay? You have a father who is rhesus positive of whatever may be B, and a mother who's rhesus negative of whatever, maybe H, A. That's where problems can arise. So if both of you are rhesus positive, no problem really. You will have your children. Some of them will be your blood group. Some of them will be the mother's blood group. Doesn't really matter. Now the challenge is this extra thing, the rhesus. What happens when a lady is rhesus negative and they conceive a child? Because when the child is in the womb, we don't know their blood group. Yeah, you agree? Do you agree? We actually don't know it because you have to know your blood group. You have to take off some of your blood. So when the child is in the womb, we don't know their blood group. So the danger with the mother being rhesus negative and they conceive a rhesus positive child, this child might have the rhesus positive from their father, is that there are certain things God designed to protect the child. While the child is in the womb, there are certain chemicals in your blood which protect you from diseases. They cross the placenta. When you give birth to that child, the child has some immunity. They picked from the mother. Okay? Now at birth, because of all the bleeding, blah blah blah, and well, the mother and the child exist in one unit, which is supposed to be completely separate, but then it's partially separate because the mother keeps giving the child some nutrients and all that, and immunity. So at birth, if some of the child's let me make it bigger. So I'm going to draw this mother here. Maybe let's give her a nice stomach. Yeah, she has a baby in here. So the mother is rhesus negative, the baby is rhesus positive. Yeah. So at birth, some of the baby's blood, very little, can be as little as a drop. The moment it goes into the mother's blood, her body will start to form chemicals to fight the red blood cells of the baby, because her body is programmed that if anything comes into my blood and it has this gene, this marker, that is an enemy. So her body will see it and, make plans for the future. So if she ever gets pregnant again with another rhesus positive baby, remember the chemicals I told you her body produces to protect from diseases, which the baby also picks up. When they enter the baby, they start to destroy her blood. And then she might give birth to a baby who is anemic and all that. So that's the importance of knowing your blood group and your partner's blood group. So when we know that the lady is rhesus negative and she's pregnant, we will give you some medicine such that when you give please feel free to ask. Having different blood groups does not prevent you from getting married. Yeah? Any questions about blood group?
Yes. My question is that recommendation that you said they give to the mother while she's pregnant before birth, is it given to every child or once for the first child and the rest is okay?
So it's given to the mother every child. Every child. And in case of any other instances, for example, a miscarriage, bleeding during pregnancy, she'll also be given that medication.
At how many months does she receive that?
7 months. So you receive a dose at 7 months, and then receive another dose around time of delivery, probably shortly before or shortly after. Maria had a question. Your name is Maria, not so? Mary Magdalene. She's called Maria. So you've understood why blood group is important. So the ones who are getting married soon, Benna and Peter, you've already tested your blood groups? Yeah. Cool. So you know your blood group. You're both rhesus positive, over. So when both mother and father are rhesus positive, you're okay really. Blood group shouldn't give you a headache. So the problem is if the mother is rhesus negative. Yeah. No problem really. Nothing. Yeah. No, there's no problem. Because the problem, the challenge arises if the mother is rhesus negative and she has a rhesus positive baby. Because since since her blood cells don't have this rhesus thing, the RHD, any cell that's introduced to her body that has that thing, the body will recognize it and form a memory of it. So in fact, the first baby she has may be okay. But some of the baby's blood that gets in contact with her blood will sensitize her body, actually the immune system, will sensitize her immune system. Yeah? So it's like some guy walks around Kampala, he sees thieves or your movie. Then he paints them with at the back, such that in the future, if police guy sees them and knows or your movie, then their reaction is more violent. Same thing happens. First baby, okay. Second baby, problems.
So this question is not for me, and maybe it's not for a couple. And so if the woman is rhesus negative, has the first child, and doesn't get the medication, if the second child is not from the same person, it's from another person who is also maybe rhesus negative, will the child be okay?
If the child is rhesus negative,
The second child now is his father who is positive, because the risk is that you may not have other children. So you get a person who's rhesus negative. Will the children be okay?
yeah, they'll be okay. As long as they're also rhesus negative, they're likely to be okay.
Likely.
They're okay, they're going to be okay. Yeah, the problem is they're rhesus negative. But a disclaimer, so having different blood groups shouldn't stop you from getting married. Please go ahead. As long as you test your blood groups early, and usually during antenatal, they'll check your blood group. And if you're rhesus negative, they'll start this the process to help you have a healthy baby. Yeah. Since we are dealing with blood problems, let's also talk about sickle cell disease. What have you heard about sickle cell disease? Has anyone heard anything about sickle cell disease? It's bad. The worst you can have. Okay? That's what you've heard. Sickle cell disease is bad. The worst. What have you heard, Bena? I saw your hand up. Tormenting.
And it can hereditary also. Like from a father, it can follow the child who will give it to the children also.
Hereditary. Aine. Yeah. What have you heard? They don't get malaria.
Malaria. Oh, malaria.
You said marriage or malaria? Malaria.
That's wonderful.
They don't get malaria.
I've also heard that beyond the sickle cell, you see a person that has it or has had someone in their family that has it. Don't marry them.
Run. Don't marry. Okay.
Avoid problems.
Avoid problems. What else have you had? Fisher.
Be what I've heard and what I've seen.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say what I've seen.
Yeah.
Of school headmaster, one big school, one of their former headmasters lost all his 7 children. All the 7 children to sickle cells.
You lost all 7.
7 children, yes. So, and so what I've been told is that the sickle cells person doesn't usually go above the age of 30. So by 30 they are gone, and it's so have been developed those 7. I think the latest died at around 28. Yeah. That's what I've heard about sickle cell.
Yeah. The Nick. About the Nick for you. You haven't had.
Okay, for it, I've seen,
You have seen.
yes, sickle cell patients, they are always in and out of the hospital. So even if you're rich like how, you wouldn't want to be in and out of the hospital anytime. And like you'll barely see your child happy. And the person that child is not happy, you'll never, okay, you can be happy, but you have to be happy, yeah.
Yeah.
Also maybe if you could tell us something about, because we've heard that nowadays there are some technologies for marriage transplant, which they can give to those people and they heal, but of course it is expensive, but I would want you to talk about it.
So she has also heard of some technologies which do what? They cure the disease. Technologies, they're expensive, but they cure. They can cure the disease. Okay. Including bone marrow transplant. Kale, so let's go through it and see why it's important to test for it as a what? As a couple, eh? So first of all, someone mentioned that it is bad, it is worse, it is tormenting. So sickle cell disease is a disease of the blood. I remember I mentioned red blood cells. Remember when I drew them? They're usually like that, a nice circle. So these red blood cells, they are red because of hemoglobin. It's what makes your blood red. Kati. That hemoglobin is supposed to carry oxygen from your lungs to every part of the body. Now what happens in sickle cell disease, the person has a faulty, let me call it that, faulty hemoglobin. So what happens is that naturally you breathe in air, it has oxygen. The red blood cells pick it, take it all over the body, and they leave it there. So when they are coming back, they have no oxygen. When they are coming back to your lungs, to pick more, they have no oxygen. When you have faulty hemoglobin, you know what happens to this circle? It does that. So it's like after the red blood cell has left the oxygen, wherever, let's say in your legs, your brain, your heart, that hemoglobin, which is faulty, becomes more stiff. Yeah? Then the cell becomes a sickle shape like that. So as it is coming back, it just gets stuck in the tiny blood vessels. And when it gets stuck there, feel pain. So that's where the tormenting bit comes in. So children or adults with sickle cell disease get a lot of pain all the time. Yeah? The pain is anywhere because your whole body receives oxygen, so it can show up with pain in the fingers, pain in the legs, pain in the tummy, pain in the chest, pain in the, everywhere. Now, because they're always in pain, they're always in and out of hospital. They're always in hospital to be treated for the pain, infections. Then, of course, because the red blood cells keep getting stuck in the small blood vessels and they are stiff, they keep getting what? Broken, destroyed. So they always have very little blood. And because of all these complications, it can happen to any organ in the body. Someone said they don't live long. Yeah, they actually don't live long. children with sickle cell disease? Yeah, most of them die before the age of 30, but I've seen many who have gone past 30. I think I even met an 80-year-old. 80, yeah? So the question is, so we've seen it's a bad disease, terrible to have. So, how is it transmitted? How does someone acquire sickle cell disease? Someone mentioned hereditary. So it's actually hereditary. We have 3 groups of people. There are those who have the disease, so sickle cell disease, and then there are those who just carry the gene. Okay, they have the gene, but they don't have the disease. The reason they don't have the disease is because you acquire the gene from 2 parents. Yeah. So let me call it S. If you have sickle cell, you are S. If you have normal hemoglobin, you are A. Okay? But since you acquire from both parents, you are either AA. When you are normal, you are AA. You get one gene from your mother, another gene from your father. And if you're a sickler, you are SS. You get one gene from your mother, another from your father. So what happens if someone who has no sickle cell disease marries someone who has sickle cell disease? Chances are high that you'll have, actually, since you get from mother and father, all your children will have AS. Not so? You agree, eh? Now this is the one who has a trait. So they just have the gene for sickle cell disease, but because they also have a normal gene, most of their hemoglobin is actually normal, so they don't have the disease. They'll grow up normally. They're just normal. They'll never have the disease. So the challenge actually is if a carrier, right, someone who has AS marries someone with SS, or marries another person with AS. Yeah? Do you get where the challenge is? So this person who has AS married someone with SS or married someone with AS, some of their children are definitely going to have sickle cell disease. Now, what are the chances that the children will have sickle cell disease? Since you get the gene from both parents, if you have AS and your wife, if you're a man with AS and your wife has AS, each pregnancy, I think, carries a chance of maybe half. Actually, just a quarter. So each pregnancy has a chance. Yeah, 25% chance that you'll have a child with sickle cell disease. It's each pregnancy. Not that you will have 4 children and only one will have sickle cell disease. A perfect illustration is actually what the story Fisher has told us, where all his kids actually had sickle cell disease. So chances are high that this gentleman married a lady who is a carrier. So now you see how a child can end up with sickle cell disease. So what would you do if you went to test and you found you're a carrier and your partner is also a carrier? What would run through your mind? Have any of you tested for sickle cell disease? You tested it? They gave you the result? Yeah. So for you are what? So this person here is actually just a carrier. They are very normal, okay? And they are healthy their whole life. Who? This person here?
For their kids to be safe.
Well,
They get married to an AA person, otherwise their kids will go to.
yeah, I think given that we're in Uganda, to be safer, just look for someone who is AA if you are AS. Because out there in countries with so much money, you know, when you have a lot of money, you start to imagine things. So what those people are doing, every child you conceive, they do genetic testing. Yeah? And then if you don't agree with what you find, you just... And we know where the church stands as regards to that.
I have a question on that. So do you mean that when the baby is still in the fetus, that you can still do a test and know where the real influences?
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible, but I don't think we do it here in Uganda. I haven't heard of anyone who does that.
So in this
Yeah.
case, if you're dating someone and realize it from the word before you have intentions of getting married at the end, and you all test all that list there, I don't know what an entire list, and you find some boxes are kicking out this guy or this lady, how do you advise those guys?
Well, not every box
Okay,
will
not all.
kick you out.
Not all.
Yeah.
You find maybe there are people who might find this one has a simple cell, the HIV, you're all okay. Maybe blood group, you have A B, the other one has O, like such stuff. You find there's one that you feel maybe when you go ahead, it might later affect your kids in the future.
I guess you as a couple, you sit down and decide. So at least we know what sickle cell disease is. We know what it does to the baby. Okay? If the child has sickle cell disease, we know they are going to have a difficult childhood because of chronic pain. They're going to have a difficult childhood because of little blood. Some of them because of other organ damage due to the sickle cell. They will have a bad heart, bad kidneys, stroke. You're always going to be in and out of hospital. You mentioned technologies. So bone marrow transplant is a possibility where they remove your bone marrow because all your blood cells come from your bone marrow. So remove your bone marrow and replace it with bone marrow, which is normal from a donor, usually a relative or wherever. And then your body starts producing normal cells with normal cells, such that you stop getting all these problems. But it's very expensive, and it's only for a select few. You know, they have to assess you, do some tests, and see if it's a worthy treatment for you. I'm not sure if we started doing it in Uganda. I think Cancer Institute has a plan of starting bone marrow transplants, but for treating cancerous problems. Yeah, blood cancers. What some people do, you come to hospital, then we remove most of your blood and replace it with normal blood from donors, what we call exchange transfusion. It's very expensive. To have a normal life, pain-free, rarely going to hospital, you need to do it like once in 3 months, and each session costs about 5 million. So it's a very expensive disease to have. So you and your partner, first of all, you come, we give you genetic counseling. We educate you about all the problems of this disease, and you decide as two adults whether you want to take the risk of having babies with sickle cell disease and all it entails. Yeah, it's very expensive. If you think you don't want to take the risk, I guess I would advise you just call it off early. Yeah. So you've understood sickle cell disease. If there is anything you haven't understood, it's okay. You'll ask questions. And if Fisher thinks you have more questions, I can come back maybe 11 plus 7, 18. Yeah. About what? They don't get malaria. Hey, oh yeah. Now, you see what's funny is that the reason, you remember in O-level biology, survival for the fittest and those things. So those days before all these technological improvements and whatnot, people with bad genes tended to die early so their genes will not get propagated. Yeah? Do you notice? That's why those days almost all women would push their babies. Those with a narrow pelvis would die in childbirth, and you find all the women have big pelvises and they're always pushing babies. But now with advancement of technology, cesarean section. Cut people who are carriers, that sickle cell gene actually protects you from malaria. It's very possible to go through your whole life without ever getting malaria. If you're a carrier, that's why it has persisted in the population, because it's protective in a way. So it's true. Some of them do get malaria, but your chances of getting malaria are low, much lower than the normal population, the AA population. Yeah. So we are good. Any questions? They will come. Okay, so let's discuss what? HIV. What have you guys heard about HIV? HIV. So sickle cell disease is a lifelong disease. Blood group is not a disease, but just check such that you have healthy babies. So HIV. What have you heard? It's what?
It's spread through sexual transmission.
Sorry? What does she say? Atide. Yes? Weakens immunity.
There is a vaccine coming.
A vaccine is coming. Bodily fluids. So transmitted through
It's also deadly. The moment you have it, they look at you as you're soon dying.
deadly.
They look at you as someone who is going to die soon.
So you are saying it is a death sentence. Yeah? You have it, you are dead. That's what you've had. Agnes, you've had something but you don't want to share. Cuts and wounds. Sibyl. Eh? Sibyl. Okay. So what have you had? You've had all these. Okay. Kati. Yeah, so indeed, HIV is a virus. There are very many modes of transmission. The commonest is through sexual intercourse with someone who is positive. All forms of sexual intercourse, I think. Yeah. So what it does when it gets into your body, other ways of transmission, mother to child. Mother to child. So mother to child, okay. Kissing, no, not really. Some conditions have to be met if you are to acquire it through kissing. Maybe wounds in the mouth which are, actively bleeding or whatever. Yeah, but ordinary kissing, maybe not. Hugs, no. Handshakes, no. Sweat, no. So don't be scared of hugging people and shaking their hands. So mother to child can pick it from their mother. During the pregnancy itself, the virus can cross the placenta, the womb, can cross in there, and the child catches it at birth. And during breastfeeding. Yeah. Sharing sharps, nail cutters, needles. Yeah, which ones? Yeah, razor blades. Very many people who got transfusions between 1975 and 1990 got it through blood transfusion, because at that time, the intensive screening of donated blood, as we know it today. Yeah. I think at that time maybe they used to test for hepatitis B. I don't know. But these days it's more intense. Processing a unit of blood can cost like 500K. So we should thank President Museveni. So, accidents. Yeah, there is a chance. There is a chance that you can catch it, because if at that accident there is extensive injuries and people bleeding, you never know whose blood will, and you've also gotten injured. Yeah, you never know, blood gets in contact with your wounds, you can catch it. So, yeah, indeed, it's a lifelong disease because we don't have a cure yet, and it actually wreaks havoc by weakening the person's immunity. These viruses are quite intelligent, small as they are. They get into your body and they hijack. Yeah? They get into a cell and they take over that cell. And then that cell starts producing more viruses. you see what it does. Gets into the cell, takes over the DNA of that cell, and orders that cell to start manufacturing, make more of us. Then they keep going around your body, attacking more cells, making more copies, then they start destroying your immune cells. The cells which are in your body to fight diseases. The HIV starts destroying them. And then once they are destroyed, you can get a cough and it kills you. You can get a flu and it kills you. And very many other things which normally don't cause havoc. Yeah. There's no vaccine, but I think, yeah, there's some hope of a vaccine, especially given that during COVID, these new technologies they used to make vaccines, I think people are exploring how to use them to make vaccines for HIV. I think we've addressed this. Cuts and wounds, maybe not. Only if blood which is infected gets into your own cuts and wounds, that's when you can catch HIV. Is it a death sentence? Maybe not. It's probably not a death sentence anymore, because we have treatments which suppress the virus. And since we no longer discriminate who starts treatment and who doesn't, So those days, HIV treatment is very expensive. I think each dose can cost upwards of, I don't know, $200, depending on what medication you use. And, you know, because of donations and whatnot, we have it free of charge. So those days they used to select who gets treatment and who doesn't. Yeah. Based on medical parameters, we check. If your immunity is still good, no, wait a bit. If you are, you know, they used to based on CD4 count. But now, as long as you test positive, you start treatment. And what the treatment does, it suppresses the virus. So the virus, remember, it hijacks your body and starts making copies. The treatment stops that. And we've not. So these days we keep counting your viral load periodically. I think every 6 months or so. And if your viral load, in fact, the patients who have been on this medication for so long, the virus stopped multiplying so many years ago. So if you do a normal HIV test on them, some of them may test negative. Yeah. And of course, that's good news. That means that once you take your treatment and the virus stops multiplying and it's undetectable when they do the test, or the viral load test, that means you can't transmit.
You can, but the chances are very low.
No, we've accepted that undetectable is equal to untransmittable. Yeah, can't transmit. So what does that mean? That means even though you have HIV, you can actually marry someone who's HIV negative. And so that's the purpose of doing the premarital test. So
So when that person stops the medicine and the virus is completely suppressed, and they can test and they test positive, do they stop their medication, or because now the virus can't be seen, or they will still continue with the medication?
you have to continue the medication. When you stop the medication, the virus starts multiplying again. And this time it comes back with a vengeance. Sometimes, you know, viruses are very tiny particles. They are not complex. So they can easily change their DNA. So they were exposed to that medicine, and now they can multiply with a few tweaks in the DNA such that that medicine is no longer effective. Then we have to look for other combinations. Yeah. So, undetectable, untransmittable. And since it's untransmittable, that means an HIV positive person can marry an HIV negative person, and they can actually have healthy babies who are HIV negative. In the early 90s and late 80s, since these services were not there, there is a program. Yeah? I don't know how it's abbreviated, but it's like that. Elimination of mother to child transmission. So many women who are HIV positive and are pregnant are in this program. So where they take care of the lady, and then right after giving birth, they also take care of the baby and the, you know, healthy baby, healthy mother, healthy husband. So HIV is no longer a death sentence, but that doesn't mean get reckless. So it's not a reason to avoid marriage, and as I've mentioned, with proper care, couples still live a long life and they have healthy children. So of course, to benefit from the nice programs that are in place these days to take care of people with HIV, you have to test early, know your status of your partner, and enroll in treatment. Yeah. So you know your HIV statuses. You who are about to get married, even you who are already married, Yeah? Okay, any questions? Questions about HIV? Uh-huh.
And someone talked about the vaccine timing. Someone said it's already there. Maybe you can talk about the prevention.
Oh, yes. Yes, thank you.
That's already the window period.
Ah, okay. So, prevention. So, I'm assuming you're a couple, you discover your partner is HIV positive. So, there is something called PrEP. Huh? That's the spelling. PrEP. Yeah. So there are options. They might give you some medication, you who is HIV negative, to swallow every day to prevent you from catching the virus from your wife or from your husband. Hmm?
Wait, repeat.
So, so we are talking about an HIV positive couple, rather a discordant couple. The yeah, HIV negative and positive, and you're a couple. So there are strategies to prevent the HIV negative party from catching HIV. And of course, the first strategy is that the HIV positive party should take their medication religiously. And you who is HIV negative, you support your partner, give them moral support. Actually, people with moral support live long. We've seen people who have lived with it for 40 years now. Yeah. And they're taking their medication religiously. Now, on top of the HIV positive party taking their medication religiously, we have some medication that the HIV negative party can take every day. Could be tablets. These days they're injectables. There used to be an injectable you're supposed to get over every month. I think every month or every 2 months. There is a newer one which you take twice a year. It's an injectable and it's quite effective. So that's why we said it's no longer a death sentence.
So me who doesn't
Yeah.
have to swallow like the one who has every day.
Yeah. No, to such that you keep a healthy family. Yeah? Too much sacrifice. I tell you, what do you think marriage is for? Yeah? Marriage is for total sacrifice. What's the other comment you mentioned? Prevention, the window period. Okay, yeah. So the HIV, should we talk about the HIV testing algorithm? I think that one you can be told when you go with your partner, right? Okay, so when you catch HIV, when you get HIV, so when the HIV enters your body, in that period when it's still multiplying and all that, the HIV test will be negative. This window period lasts like what? Maybe 1 to 3 months. Yeah. So when you do the test, you have to repeat it in 4 weeks and then 3 months later and then at 6 months. If they're all negative, yeah, continue protecting yourself. If any of them turns positive, please don't be afraid. Come and get treatment. So, yeah, any questions? It's lunchtime, eh? So, hepatitis B. What have you heard about hepatitis B?
And it's also like HIV, the symptoms.
The symptoms? Okay. It's like HIV. That's what? The liver.
It kills faster
It kills faster. Faster than what?
than HIV.
Okay. That's what you've heard. preventable. So should we be talking about how to prevent HIV? Abstinence. Yeah. Just abstain. Stay away. What else have you heard about hepatitis B?
Can be cured.
Curable. That's what you've had. What have you heard about?
It's a virus.
It's a virus.
Another question. There are other types of there's like hepatitis A, C, and E. Why specifically?
Okay.
Why specifically? Do you know any?
So
Are they not talking about hepatitis?
why B? What about C, A, E? What else have you had? D? I think it's just A, B, C, D, E.
It is transmitted through body fluids.
Transmission, body fluids. So yeah.
Vaccinated.
Okay. Vaccine exists. What should I say? Immunizable. So yeah, indeed, hepatitis B is a virus. It's a virus. It's transmitted through several ways. One way is anything that involves body fluids. Yes. Actually, for it can be transmitted through even a kiss. No, maybe not. Well, unless there is some bodily fluid like saliva. Through what?
Maybe like sleep, public meetings.
Yeah, if there is bodily fluids, body fluids like sweat, mother to child, okay, now 5-10 minutes. So mother to child, yeah, that's how it's transmitted. Indeed, when it gets into your body, goes to the liver and causes problems there. You all know the liver, not so? The chibumba looks exactly like the one of a cow. What? The one of a human being looks like that. Yeah, goes to the liver, causes problems. So the acute phase, some people, right after it has invaded your body, some people's immunity is able to mount a defense and kick it out. Okay? In some people, they are unable to kick it out, so it stays for life. But in two forms. In some, it's dormant, doing nothing. They can transmit it, but it's not multiplying, it's just there. In others, it causes active illness. Yeah, the liver continues to deteriorate. And then eventually, the virus does away with you. But I wouldn't say it kills faster than HIV, because there are people who live with it and they are not on any treatment, but they continue to live a healthy life. And they keep coming to hospital for periodic checks, sometimes every year, to check the liver, how it's doing, and also to check if the virus is multiplying or not. If it's multiplying, then we start giving them medication to keep it suppressed. it is preventable indeed. And I think the most effective prevention is actually immunization. Yeah, I don't know what to comment about this. Like HIV, maybe, because it's also a chronic illness. So why B? What about C, A, E, D? So all these are also viruses which can invade your body and they will damage your liver. A is usually transmitted through who remembers the 5 F's of what? Of primary school. There are 4. There were 4. Food, fingers, what? Feces. Flies, yeah, kati. Hepatitis A is through feces. So, fingers and feces. Contaminated food. Usually, the person who contaminates your food is someone who already has the virus. Maybe they handle food without washing hands and then they shed the virus onto that food, and then someone else, whoever consumes that food, picks up the virus. Fortunately, it doesn't need any treatment. As long as it doesn't damage your liver so badly, usually the body clears it. C, I think C also tends to cause chronic illness. Sometimes it persists in the body. D and E, now this one can only infect you if you already have D. So, not very important. Then D also just clears. So B is important because, well, it has no cure. It's lifelong. And then we have a vaccine to prevent it. So why should you as a couple test for hepatitis B? One, it is transmittable. So the spouse can pass it. The person can pass it to their spouse through exchange of bodily fluids. And but that shouldn't be scary because once you are immunized, you can never catch it. So that means test for it, and whoever if you both don't have it, just get the vaccine. If one of you has it, let the other party get the vaccine. Then the one who has it goes to specialist doctor, and they get assessed to see if they need treatment or they just need continuous monitoring. And we mentioned mother-to-child transmission. So if the lady has it, the babies right after they are born, they have to get immunized right away. And once immunized, you can never catch it. I think right now it's on the National Immunization Program, right? Yeah, so I think most babies born after, 2010 have been immunized. Those born before 1990, before yeah, those ones, please go get tested for hepatitis B and get the vaccine. What haven't I mentioned? So yeah, I think I've mentioned everything. Fertility. Fertility, I think if it's a do or die, if from Lucky and Raymond Stoke, if you think fertility is important, yeah, go get tested and see if you are, if both of you are fertile before you get into it. How? So, there are several options, both for the man and the lady. So for the man, they have to do sperm count. How you provide them with the specimen, I guess they will tell you. Yeah. Then, of course, they also have to, it's like a general checkup, your general well-being, blood pressure, diabetes, past HIV, yeah, even sickle cell disease. Then before they go specifically to your hormones and sperm counts. For the lady, again, same thing, general well-being, blood pressure, diabetes, all these other things, hormone tests, an ultrasound to check if you have what? If you have ovaries. No, just to check the normal anatomy of the ovaries, the womb, and all that. Yeah.
I believe most hospitals don't do such kind of packages. Would you recommend particular hospitals to have such that?
A package for like premarital health checkup, eh? Yeah, I think you're right. I'm not sure if any hospital has a package, arranged the way.
I know IMC.
Chesuvi, eh? And they call it premarital health checkup. Okay, that's great. Thank you. So Chesuvi Hospital. IMC. Oh, yeah. I think I've heard of that one. The one called IDC. Okay. Anyone else? Fisher spoke to a doctor in Zambia.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
When we were preparing for this, I went to Zambia Hospital. So I spoke to a doctor there. It's called Dr. Benjamin. He told me they do not have the specific,
Package.
He actually told me that it's difficult to find hospitals that have a package for it. The reason is because some of you come when you don't want to test for some of the things because of the cost. So you choose out of the 6, you choose 2 or 3 or 4. So it's become difficult for hospitals to create a package for it. But Sassi Clinic, for us, by the time we got married, Sassi Clinic had a package.
Sassi
Clinic, I don't know, they were around below Watoto, around that Kampala road.
Oh, okay. Equatorial Mall, eh?
Yes, that Equatorial Mall. They used to have a package, so I don't know whether they still in existence.